just made one of the biggest decisions for me in a very short amount of time. I decided to quit my job at a place I have worked for almost 29, almost 30 years. September 11th, 1994 was my hire date. So September 11th of 2024 would be my 30-year anniversary. And I was like looking forward to my 30th anniversary, and I was like, I am going to go part-time at my job. I don't know why. It was just, for me, it was like a milestone. I think the same way that turning 30 was a milestone for me. It's like, I can't wait to be 30, because then people will see me as an adult, but I'm still young enough to have fun, you know. I guess maybe somewhere that's what that is in my mind. But I have always been a person, I don't like change, but also I'm not afraid of change. I just haven't changed because somewhere in my mind I have somewhere in the story that has been told to me as the eldest child that it's my job. I believed the story. Sorry about my car art. I just got it out of the way. That as the eldest child, it was my responsibility to take care of my family. And so I have had this, give you an example, you know, I have had the same cell phone number for 30 years. I have lived in the same house since I bought it for 22 years. I have done the same job for 35 years. And worked at for the same company since I moved to Austin. And I love my job. I love the people I work with. And I am very fulfilled in the job that I do. I have always been. And so some would say you're crazy. Maybe a little bit. But there is a method to my madness. So because I have been there so long, I have quite a bit of quite a bit of money in my retirement. And I have always said that I want to retire. I used to say I want to retire at 55. Then I realized with my health issues and stuff, I was going to have to work a little bit longer. So 55 is really not feasible. But it was, I want to retire before I'm 60. And I was just going to pay off all my debt and then live off of that for a while. Social Security, you know, at 62, take it early. Well, things changed. I had some health issues. I had to have so many surgeries that I lived off my credit cards, and all that debt that I paid down was maxed out. And after being on short-term disability for months and not getting a paycheck, and not being able to pay my house payment, went back to where I just got behind, which it didn't really worry me too much because I was able to pick up extra shifts, and I knew I was going to be able to pick up extra shifts and stuff to make that up. And I'd be behind, my credit is screwed, but oh well, you know. Wasn't really worried about it. And I also was in a really good place mentally and emotionally. And I have been doing so much growth. And I knew that that's what was going to happen. I think that this has been in place now for about a year. And I've had some ups and downs with my mom, and, her, getting her chemical imbalance, and we worked through it. I had worked through all these major things that had, between my health and bad relationships and with my mom, and met somebody who completely, he came into my life. He was a life teacher. There's an instant connection, an instant attraction. We both felt it. It was extremely intense. And if you would have asked me 24 hours before I met him if I thought or I believed in love at first sight, or in soulmates, or people who were meant for each other, that they, I would have said, you're smoking crack, until I felt it. And, it wasn't the right time. It was fast and furious and 3 weeks long. And I didn't appreciate it at the time. I did appreciate his integrity, but he's like, our values do not align. And he says, I know, because of the attraction we have for each other, he's like, we would come into each other's life, and then things would go bad and push it, and we'd wind up hurting each other. And he says, I really, really like you. You're one of my favorite people to talk to. And he goes, and I don't want to ruin that. So, and he says, and I want you to be happy, and I don't want to make you sad. And even though I was very disappointed, no need to go into all the details, but I was very disappointed. But in the 3 weeks that we were that intense, I discovered that it is possible to feel those things that I had never felt before. It is possible to find love at first sight and meet a man of integrity that you are physically attracted to, that is smart. All the things. But it didn't work. But in that 3 weeks, I learned so much. He sees things, or he sees things from a completely different perspective, and asks questions that I would never even think to ask. Which, because he asks them, it gets me thinking from an entirely new perspective. And that was 2.5, almost 3 years ago. And in that time, he asked me this question. He asked, because I was telling him how miserable I was with my mother and her living with me, and it was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, it sounds to me like you are really, really unhappy. And I'm like, I am. And he says, it also sounds to me like you continue to make the choices that make you really, really unhappy. Make different choices. It is your choice. And I realized there had been times in my life, my entire life, that I made choices because I felt obligated, and because that was what I was supposed to do as the eldest sibling and the oldest. I was supposed to take care of everybody. And so I put myself on the back burner, and I put what I wanted and what made me happy on the back burner, and I took care of my family. And I'm not saying that I regret it, because at the time I did. I was very definitely, there's like, I spent so much money in legal fees and the drama of just my entire, I spent a lot of money and got nothing but grief. And it was like, I'm not made of money. And also, I just didn't feel appreciated. And I cut off some relationships because it's like, I'm not going to break my back and work overtime to pay your bills type of thing. Or I'm not going to continue to enable you to use, or to, it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for me. And same thing with, I started to realize I was doing that for some friends, and I was doing that in relationships. So I cut those down, and my mom was like the last obstacle. I mean, it's your mom. But I was absolutely miserable. I prayed that I would come home and my house would be burnt down, and so I would have to start completely over. And it was just, I was miserable. Anyway, fast forward, the questions he asks me, why do you keep making those choices? And I'm like, you know what? He's right. I'm going to start making some different choices. At the time, I was dancing, and I'm like, I don't want to be at home. So I started making some choices, and I started going and dancing all the time. And I started competitive dancing and going to competitions and going to workshops, and lots of money. But it was lots of money because I was never home. And so there went more of my credit card debt. And fast forward, I injured my foot, wasn't going to be able to dance, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm telling a whole story that I don't really need to tell, but I've always been stable. And that was the catalyst. Meeting him was the catalyst to get me to start thinking about what makes me happy. Started reading the 4 Agreements and all of his books, and just I was like, it was like I was starving for growth because I had been stunted for so long. I kept myself small, waiting. I've used the analogy as I've just been sitting at the trailhead, waiting to get on my path, letting everybody else go ahead of me, making sure everybody was okay, and just sitting there. And once I decided that it's my turn to get on my path, it's like there's a whole lot more behind me than there is ahead of me, and I have seen bad health. I have seen where I thought that I was going to be disabled for the rest of my life. I've seen being sick. Not anymore. That's what putting myself on the back burner did. It got me sick and unhealthy and broke. So, for 2 years, I did a lot of growth. And I realized I've got to change my perspective. But not only do I have to change my perspective, I want to understand everyone's perspective, because there was a shift in me, because there was a complete shift in my attitude and in the fact that I was able to have joy and find a passion, all because I looked at things from a different perspective. And I started doing that whenever I started to get those same icky feelings that I had when I was at my most miserable. And it's like, I don't like that feeling. I don't want to feel that feeling. So what's causing me to be icky? And it would me being irritated with something or someone, and so it's like, okay, first of all, it's probably not about you, but why could they have acted that way? What is the you have no idea what's going on. And so then I started to have some grace for other people. And then I started to look at my life and go, I don't know what I'm complaining about. I am getting to live my dream. I've gotten to dance with some of the best dancers in the world. I've gotten to travel. I'm meeting wonderful people, and all of those things that have happened before are what got me here. If those things that had happened before didn't happen, I wouldn't be right here right now. So I started to see where and what lessons, how much stronger am I? And so then life changed and got better, and life was good. Then I started to realize that in every part of my life, I had pretty much gotten to where I had this zen, and it was easy for me to be in a good mood and smile. At work was the place where it was difficult, and it wasn't because I enjoy my job. I love my job. I've taken care of children since I was a child. And my career has been taking care of infants and children, everyone from neonates. And now I work in a congenital cardiac defect unit. And I'm an ECMO specialist. And I know the job that I do is very, very hard, because my patients are very, very sick, and they are there in the hospital for a very long time. And because I'm a respiratory therapist and I deal with the sickest of the sick, so I get really attached to those babies, and I take it as an honor, and it is an honor to take care of someone else's children when they cannot take care of them themselves. And it's sacred. That's what the word I was looking for. It is a sacred honor. And when so many of our patients, they're from out of town, and our patients are there for 6 months, a year and a half, and oftentimes they can't leave once they can't be more than 30 miles away from the hospital, and then the majority of my patients that I take care of on a regular basis, they will die. And I know this. But I also know that what we are learning right now will help, maybe not babies in my lifetime, but definitely in the next lifetime, because the procedures that we are doing to save these babies that would have died immediately, who are now living to be 6 months, 8 months, 10 years old because of the surgical procedures that have been learned are saving lives. And so I keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that it's still not emotionally very taxing, but it's also very rewarding. My issue was that not everybody held what we did as sacred. I felt that everybody, and I would get irritated when people, in my opinion, would dishonor it. And the thing is I would get more frustrated because people weren't acting in the way that I felt they should. I can't change the way people act. I can't. I have no control over it. I have control over how I act. And that's what was difficult, is because even though I was doing the absolute best job that I could, I can't be there 24/7. And I started to get this, it's just that icky feeling. And it's like I knew I was doing the best I could, and I would go into work and still like go in and have a really positive attitude, and something would happen and just like completely, and that was improving at work, because I was not getting involved in any of the negative talk and gossip and that kind of spiral. It was a spiral that I was getting into myself, being disappointed in some of my coworkers, or just getting frustrated about things that continue to be an issue and had been for 35 years, mind you. Anyway, so something clicked 6 months ago. It was another aha moment change. And I had decided a little bit more than 6 months ago, I had decided to be quiet. I had been doing so much changing. I'd been dancing and go, social, and working extra and consuming a lot of personal growth material and listening to different coaches and things like that, that I started to become, I needed to meditate. I needed to breathe, and I needed to sit and be quiet, and I needed to be with my higher power, and I needed to be in the universe, and I needed to listen to music, and I needed to just take it down and reflect. And in that reflection, I felt this, I had this growth, it's like a prayer. I got so excited, and I overwhelmed with emotion and writing and journaling, and it's like I don't know what's going on in me, but I feel like I'm about ready to explode. I'm not sad. I feel it. I'm happy. I'm excited, but the things that are going on in my head and my heart are happening so fast that I can't speak the words fast enough. I can't speak the ideas fast enough to get them out. I can't write them fast enough. And there was all this, and I'm like, I feel different. I went through a change, and my reflection and meditation was my chrysalis phase. And when I came out of it realizing I don't want to be tied down to a time clock and not be able, my grandbabies moved away. They were 5 miles away, and now they're 300 miles away. And I know that's not very far, but when you work 12-hour night shifts, and I just can't go and see my babies on my way home and on my way to work now, and I'm like, I want to spend more time with my family. I hadn't seen my dad because of COVID and stuff. I hadn't seen my dad for an entire year. And it's just, I'm not able to see my friends because I work nights and they all work days, and I work a lot of weekends, and it's like I want to spend more time with my friends and family because I finally have a tribe, and because I'm not putting myself last, and I want to do something different. I want to travel. I'm on my second passport and it still hasn't been stamped. I had my trip to Germany planned right before COVID, and I lost all my money. I was going to get my passport stamped for the first time. Anyways, I am rambling on. And that fast forward, I made the decision after a long process and narrowing it down. I am going to become a life coach. I know exactly who I want to be my coach. I have been reading his books. I have seen him. He's come in and out of my life for the last 10 years, and I didn't recognize it. And once I did, it's just like boom. It's like I can't unsee him, and everything that he says just like all the way in there, it pulls it out, and it's like, oh my gosh. So decided that I want to go to Brendon Burchard's school and learn from him, and it's really expensive. I am in debt. My house payment is behind. I have almost $500,000 in retirement. With that money, I could pay off all of my debt, pay off my home, go to school, fix my house, go down to part-time, and work on and concentrate on becoming a life coach. The only way I can access that money is to leave that hospital and not be employed, or wait until I am 50. I think I have to be 57 or 59. 59. If I'm still working there, I cannot access it until I'm 59 because it's a retirement. That's the earliest I can get it. And I would have to do penalties. That's the only way I can get it. I know I can find another job. I don't want to wait to start my life. I don't want to wait another 10 years. So, I made the decision as soon as I get the offer from the other hospital and find out, I am putting in my notice, and I will be collecting my retirement money, and I will be leaving what has been my home, my work home, for almost 30 years. And I made that decision in a heartbeat because I already know what I want, and I know that I can get it, and I'm not going to let a loyalty to a big corporation who will continue if I were to die tomorrow, and it would not even be a speed bump, keep me from reaching my full potential and helping people and living a life of joy and abundance. It's not worth it to me. And I didn't ask for anybody's permission, and I haven't told anybody that that's what I was going to do. You're the first people I've told, and I don't even know who you are. But I am so freaking excited. I'm so happy because I I'm doing all the work. I'm making a plan. I'm, I'm listening to smart women. What is it? Smart women get rich or whatever. I can't even think about it right now. And I'm writing all this stuff down. And he's like, it would make a move in 48 hours. And before I started his book, I had already made the decision and already had the appointment to talk to my retirement representative. So this was meant to be. This was meant to be. And I am not scared. A little bit nervous, a little bit anxious. But I am not scared. I am going to start living my purpose authentically. And I'm going to be in alignment with my true heart's desire. And I have people who are supporting me. And I have found groups and mentors that they don't even know that they're my mentors, and they don't even know that they have changed my life. But that's what they do, and that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And the thing is I didn't even realize it, but I've been doing it already. I didn't know you could get paid for it, but I was doing it, straight hot off the streets, right? I was doing, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I thought about it. It's like, I could have hurt people, not having the skill, or maybe I said the wrong thing in the wrong way with the right intention, but I still hurt them. So I want to learn how to communicate with people. I want to learn how to understand people. I want to learn how to inspire people and motivate people and help them learn how to problem solve, so that they learn that they can do it on their own. So that's what happened. And so the videos that will be showing up on this channel are all over the place, because I started making videos before I knew exactly what it was that I wanted, how I wanted it to do. And that's also thanks to that same man who changed my life almost 3 years ago. He did the same thing. I lost a bet and he challenged me, and it wasn't what he intended, but he helped me find my path. And it was just that one little in that way, and it's like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I'm meant to do. And he is inspiring me, and he is continuing. He's my muse. He is my every person, as far as, because there are so many ways that he is different than me. He comes from a different background, but then we are so much the same. And we are just one example of what it is that I want people to realize, is we are all different, but we're all the same. And all we have to do is learn how to communicate with each other in the languages that we speak, and listen and understand. You don't have to agree, but just understand. It's so much easier to love people and, choose to still love, but okay, now I can remove myself, because I don't have to. This is the thing. I don't understand why people think you don't have to take away somebody else's happiness to have yours. And it's not somebody else's responsibility. Your happiness is not somebody else's responsibility. It is yours. And so why can't we say, I love you and I want you to be happy, but your happiness invades my happiness. So go your way, be blessed, and find lots of happiness. And if I see you on the way, I'll ask you how you're doing, you know, but I won't hang around long, you know? Instead of, oh, you're different than me. Anyways, I haven't quite figured out what this channel is going to be. So initially it's just going to be a lot of me talking about my journey, because that's how I work things out. I love to write, and I've been writing a lot. I've got so many journals now. I have tried to journal my entire life. I love to write poetry and stuff like that and create, but the consistency has never been there. The consistency has been there the last 6 months. As far as every day doing something on my list of things to do, and planning and being very intentional. So they're working on changing, and I'm going to continue that. And so that's what I want to share with you. And also, hopefully I ask questions that you know the answers to, or suggestions, or questions, or just to see if anything that I say resonates with you and maybe can help you. Some of the things that I've gone through, I didn't think I had a very interesting life until other people remind me that I have. Hey, that could be my cliffhanger. I've had a really interesting life. But the thing I do have also I can attribute to that wonderful man. And a name for, he's the one who helped me with the name for the channel. It is a wonderful life, even if you don't know it yet. Come and find out with me together.